Hi everybody, it's Queen Het-Heru, calling, videoing, checking in from the porch. Today I decided to sit on the porch because I wanted to do some cards, and I had this big beautiful table out here, so I said, hey, why not break it in? I never use this table, I always use the other one. So listen, today is November 10th, and today it marks the 23rd year that I have been a mother. I had my daughter 23 years ago today. She is 23, and it's been a hell of a ride, man. When I got pregnant at 17, I didn't know nothing about nothing. All I knew was I loved this little being. I could feel it immediately, like connection. I felt it immediately. As soon as somebody said even before somebody said you're pregnant, I knew I was pregnant. I was like, I'm pregnant. I felt it. It was the weirdest feeling. Being pregnant and not being pregnant, it was totally two different feelings to me. Like, I can't understand how people say, I didn't know I was pregnant. I'm like, how did you not know? I felt totally different. So anyway, um, today marks that day. My baby turned 23. And yeah, it's been a long, bumpy ride. I didn't know anything about anything. I think that a woman should have a baby when she's older, actually. I really do. Because I think that you should have time to nurture yourself and create yourself and know yourself and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't know that at the time. All I knew was that I was pregnant, I love this baby, and we was going to figure it out. Now here we are 23 years later, and we figured it out. We figure it out one day at a time, every day. So it's been a good ride. So happy birthday, baby girl. And so I'm in a good mood today, for obvious reasons. And so I didn't have a question today. And I said, well, what can I do my video on for Asking Aquarius? So what I decided to do it on is cards. What I have in front of me, I have three things in front of me right here. Okay, first thing I have is the Buddhism reading cards. And beautiful picture. And there's the author. They're beautiful. And I have these. So I'm going to use these. I also have these from Doreen Virtue. I love these cards. These are cards I've been using for years and years and years. They're great for romance readings. And lastly, I have Soul Cards 2 in front of me. Soul Cards 2 is one of my favorite decks. Let me explain these a little bit before I get into them. The first one I showed you is a Buddhism deck. So it's a deck that works with the energy of Lord Buddha. Everybody knows I read cards, but let me give you a little bit of inside scoop. When I read cards, I don't just read the cards. I don't just hear the cards. I work with spirit with the cards. So I ask whatever spirit is on the cards to speak to me through the cards. So through the Buddhism reading cards, I ask Buddha to tell me and us what it is that they have to say. Pretty simplistic. If you know how to talk to spirits, you're comfortable with it, then yeah. Because some of the stuff they say is like kind of trippy, you know. So yeah, that's what I do. And with the Doreen Virtue cards, the romance cards, I typically call upon Archangel Chamuel, and I call upon the goddess from Egypt, Het-Heru, to help me because their energy is all about romance and helping with love and the heart chakra and things like that. So I call upon them and ask them to give us a card. And with Soul Cards 2, Soul Cards 2 was really cool because Soul Cards 2 has no meanings. It's just pictures. And a real like abstract looking picture at that. So they just speak to you through the image. So usually I ask the ancestors to speak to me through the soul cards and like talk directly to my soul. So I like those a lot. I have a lot of decks. I collect decks, by the way. Some of you have seen my collection. It's not astronomical. It's not in the thousands. It's like 150. It ain't all crazy. It might be one day, but it isn't today. So yeah. So what I did was, before I started this video, I shuffled each deck and I asked them to give us a card, something that would help us, something they want us to consider today. Real simple. And I did not look at the cards, so it's going to be kind of like a cold reading for you, those of you who are into drama. I have to just read it cold, you know. So I'm just going to ask them to just tell us, what they got to say. So I have no idea what they want to talk to us about, but I'm going to give you the message that they give me through these beautiful cards. So first we'll talk with Buddha. Buddha gave us a pretty card. He gave us this one. Beautiful card. Now I'll tell you what he said to us. He told us to consider pure speech today. The card says, happiness comes when your words are pure, bringing about kindness and benefit to yourself and others. The words you use are like seeds you have chosen to plant in the garden of your heart and the world. You have the power to destroy yourself and poison the world around you, or more importantly, you have the power to plant beautiful flowers. So for this one, Buddha wants us to consider our speech, the things that we say, how we talk about people, how we talk to and about ourselves. I've seen this a number of times. I've seen this message come up a number of times because people don't realize that, one of the things that the Egyptians always said that you should not speak just for the sake of talking. And I've taken this in very strongly over the years. The Egyptians said that you should speak when you have something to say. Not just to take up space, not just to talk because nobody else is talking, not just because you're uncomfortable or anxious, but because you have something. They said to speak with purpose, not to speak over much, is what they called it. So when I see this pure speech card, it reminds me of that first and foremost. Then it reminds me of gossip and negativity towards others. A lot of times people will talk about somebody and they'll just talk about them and talk about them and talk about them and talking about them. And every day, every time a person does something different, they talk about them even more. And they don't realize that in the world of spirit, that's really a psychic attack. Like you're verbally attacking this person. And it's negative for your own karma because anybody that you attack, you get attacks back. That's how karma works. Whatever you put out, you get back. And secondly, you're energetically attacking this person constantly, which isn't helping whatever the situation is that you're criticizing in the first place. So instead of gossiping about people, try not to do that at all. Basically is what Buddha is trying to say. Try not to gossip about people. If something happens and you want to express that something is not okay with you, someone has done something to you, that's fine. But harping on it and bilking about it all over the countryside, to anybody who will listen, really is not necessary. Talk to somebody, get some clarity, release what it is that you have to say, and then move on from it. Get your justice if you can and move on from it. So that's that aspect of it. Also, Buddha is saying there was a experiment done a long time ago, and I think the man was from Japan. I think he was a Japanese scientist, if I'm not mistaken. He did an experiment where he was yelling. He had two different, if I'm not mistaken, it was two different glasses of water, and he had different items. And at one particular item, one organic item, he would yell at it. He would say, I hate you, and yell obscenities at it. And at the other item, he would say loving things to it. And noticed how the crystals and how, because some of these, I think it was ice, had created crystals. And you noticed that yelling at the one that was yelled at came out ugly. it was distorted. It was like if it was fruit, it rotted faster. Like, cause he used different items and would yell at them, yell at them, yell at them, and the ones that were yelled at had negative responses, like in their actual physical, and the ones that he was kind to and said I love you and was gentle with, those in some cases fruit lasted longer. It didn't rot as fast. The crystals were beautiful. The ones that formed in the ice were more beautiful. It was very interesting. So our speech is not just, you're not just talking. It's not just meaningless. Your speech really does create your reality. The conversations that you choose to engage in as well. And so, like he said, you can create something poison and you can create something that's beautiful. I see people online get into conversations. I saw this, I'm in this group, and somebody posted a statement that I automatically knew was going to be inflammatory. So I read the statement and I didn't respond to it. I didn't say a word. Now it's been 2 days and they are arguing still about this statement. And this statement, this post has turned into another post and is about to turn into another post. And they're still arguing about this statement. So what set me apart from this group of people? I saw the statement. I intuited where it was going. And I chose not to join the party. You don't have to go to every party that you're invited to. Most of us don't. So when it comes to arguments, when it comes to conversations, Buddha is letting us know you have the ability to engage or not. So if it's an unproductive conversation, and you can usually tell up front it's going to be that kind of conversation, you don't have to engage. You engage in what conversations you choose to engage in, with what people you choose to engage in as well. Some people you should not engage in conversations with, and you already know that, so don't do it to yourself. So Buddha is telling us to consider that today. Consider pure speech. Consider the conversations that you have. Consider the things you say about yourself, even. Do you speak positively about yourself? One of the things about getting ahead and being inspired and being your best self is seeing yourself as your best self. And in turn, seeing everybody around you as their best self. That's the next part of it. That's the next level to the compassion. But the compassion starts with you. So the first part is seeing yourself as your best self. Speaking to yourself as your best self. Being loving towards yourself. That's the first and most important part. Okay? Really, really, really important. And then you do it with other people. Seeing them as their best self. Seeing them as coming forward. It just continues to trickle down. So that's pure speech. That's what Buddha wants us to consider today. So consider it. Consider its role in your life. Consider if you're already good at it. Consider if you're doing horrible with it. Consider if you need to work on it. Consider pure speech, they call it. Thank you, Lord Buddha. Now we're going to see what the romance angels gave us. What did Chamuel and Het-Heru give us? Dun, dun, dun. Soulmate. They gave us the soulmate card. Let me show you the soulmate card. Can you see that, guys? Yeah, there we go. Soulmate. This card says, yes, this is your soulmate. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about soulmates. Soulmates can be your life partners. They can be somebody who comes into your life and you feel the love for them that is as old as the hills. The kind of love that you be like, I know you. Like, I know you. I've always known you. I can feel you. That kind of energy. That could be your soulmate. But sometimes it's not. Sometimes your soulmate is a person who is on this planet to help you evolve, to help you grow, like a teacher, but you're never really together. You're never really like in a relationship with each other. sometimes these relationships are actually kind of painful, and that's what you grow from, is the pain itself. um and if you're in that type of a soulmate situation, you usually can tell, because you're never together, you're never in a relationship together, but they're one of your greatest teachers, and they often come like reappear, like they'll be gone. They're like Freddy, they're never quite dead. Remember those movies with Freddy Krueger? He kept jumping back up. Like, they're those type of relationships. Sometimes your soulmate is like that, and they jump back up because it's something that you haven't finished learning yet, or something else is time to learn. So they come forward as teachers, not really as life partners. And the problem is that we love them so much that we really want them all to be life partners. But that's not what they're here for. Some of them are just here to help us along, help guide us, help us to learn things. And then in other cases, yeah, it's your life partner. So today, Chamuel and Het-Heru want us to question our soulmates. I have a soulmate. I do. I know my soulmate. Not somebody I'm in a relationship with and never will be in a relationship with. But I noticed that, this soulmate appears every time it's time for me to grow. Or something I haven't finished growing from. That's a big one. And I know that every time this energy appears, I'm like, ugh, I gotta deal with this again. And so I'm like, so yeah, contemplating that. And the way for these relationships to end, for those of us who are ready for them to be done, is to get the lesson. If you get the lesson, their work is done. They don't have anything else to teach you. So get the lesson, whatever, and we all know what the lesson is. We just don't want to get it. So get the lesson and move on. So either that, or this person is, like I said before, your life partner, and then that's really good. That's when it's really great. When your soulmate is actually your life partner, it's a beautiful energy. It's an intense energy though. Very intense, but it's a beautiful energy. So consider, who is your soulmate? Isn't that an interesting question? Consider, who is your soulmate and what is their role in your life right now? Thank you, Chamuel. That's a very deep question I'll be contemplating before bed. And lastly, what do the ancestors want us to contemplate? My. Take a look at this, guys. This is what the ancestors want us to contemplate. Abstract, I know. Very. Try and get you as much light as possible. So I'm just going to tell you what they're telling me. They said that this card is all about seeing and opening your mind. So for those of us that are contemplating this today, they said seeing. They said that some of us have veils over us. Some of these veils are from hurt. Some of these veils are from, difficult times in our life, darkness, pain, negativity, betrayal, abuse. And it causes like this fog, this haze over us, this darkness. And it makes it hard to see. It makes it hard to be open. It makes it hard to be open-minded. But if we can just remember that we're surrounded by spirit, there's gold and angels all around this energy. So if we can just remember that we're surrounded by love of spirit, we're surrounded by God, we're surrounded by angels, we're surrounded by ancestors. If we can remember that and be open-minded and allow ourselves to be guided and healed and cleansed, we'll be good. Life is never going to be perfect. Bad things happen, and they always will. You can't say, I believe in God, so nothing bad is ever going to happen. That's a fallacy. Things are always going to happen, good and bad, because the universe is light and dark. Sometimes great things happen, and sometimes bad things happen, and sometimes bad things happen, so good things can happen. So it's all very, very intricate in the way that it's designed, and we're not exactly equipped to be able to explain and really even understand all of it. We just understand what we can. So bad things are always going to occur, but that doesn't mean you're not loved. That doesn't mean you're not surrounded by God. It doesn't mean you're not surrounded by angels and your ancestors and spirit. That doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means that's part of life. That is the breaks. We don't want anything bad to happen. Of course not. We don't want anything bad to occur. But the reality is that bad things are going to occur. And we have to learn from them. We have to grow from them. We have to heal from them. We have to transcend them. We have to use them in a productive manner and not let them destroy us and the things that we want to accomplish. So the ancestors are asking us to allow ourselves to be healed. And they're also asking us, I said before, to be open-minded. There's so much in this universe to know. There's so much in this world to know. I'm sitting in Costa Rica, and it is so beautiful. There's a mountain and these hills, and 20 years ago or 23 years ago when I got pregnant, I never imagined I'd be sitting here and looking at this beautiful place and doing the wonderful things that I'm able to do now. So we don't know everything. I still don't know everything. I don't think we ever get to know everything. But the more open-minded you are, and the more you allow yourself to be guided, the better you'll be, the more healed you'll be. This card also heralds the crown chakra. This is the last part. So the crown chakra, for those of you who don't know much about chakras, the crown chakra is the energy center right here on top of your head. There's energy centers all throughout your body. There's the crown chakra. There's the third eye right here. There's the throat chakra. There's the heart chakra. And they go all the way down. So heart chakra, solar plexus, the navel chakra, the sacral chakra, your sexual organ area, and beneath that, your root chakra. And there are other ones too. Some say you have chakras in your hands and your ears and your feet, chakras above your head. So, it depends on who you ask about the system. It's mostly a system that's an energy system that's been used in India, Asia. And it just explains how your energy works throughout your body. So when something comes up with the crown chakra is about your connection to God. So the last thing our ancestors are asking us to really consider this weekend, and all three of these are very deep, is our connection to our Creator. So they're asking us to consider our connection to Creator and how we connect to Creator, how we connect to the angels, how we connect to Goddess, how we connect to the heavenly beings, how we connect to our intuition, even our own inner guidance. So the crown chakra is all about our connection to the divinity. So one of the things that this asks is, what is your connection to your God? Who is your God? Do you have a God? What do you believe about God? What do you believe about the angels? What do you believe about the heavenly beings? Like, what is that energy? What is that connection for you? Because I am a priestess of Mayat. Mayat is the ancient Egyptian spiritual system. The Egyptians called themselves the Kemetians. It is their spiritual system. I found it, I loved it, so I started to practice it. Now, that being said, I believe that anybody can practice any positive spiritual system and get healing, salvation out of it. I don't think you have to be one thing or another. I don't walk around recruiting for Mayat. If people want to know about it and they want to practice, then I'll teach them. But if not, then that's fine. I think you can get that healing with Christianity. I think you can get that healing with Islam. I think you can get that healing with Yoruba, Ifa. I think you can get it with Santeria. I think you can get it with Wicca. I think you can get it with almost any spiritual system that has a base in goodness and morality and love. I really do. But I think that different ones work for different people. I think it's kind of like, it's just like, spirituality needs to be custom to the person. And I think that's where a lot of us mess up, and that's why a lot of us are leaving the church. A lot of us are seeking and not, I hear people say all the time, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual, Or I hear people say, my religion is love. Like they've totally just disconnected from the whole concept. And I just believe in love. That's it, just love. So I'm like, I think that everybody is a little bit different. I think it's supersized, it's customized for who you are. So the way that you worship, whether you're a priestess of Mayat or a Christian minister, the way that you worship is just custom for you. It's what makes you comfortable. It's what makes you comfortable in your understanding with your creator, and that's fine. We don't have to be the same spiritual system. We've been arguing about that for millions of years, and it's really ridiculous. Honestly, it's silly, because the truth is that we all worship in different ways. Even Christians will tell you about a story about the Tower of Babel. And I don't remember the story. All I remember is them saying in the story was that we were all given different ways to worship. It's the only thing I remember about the story, because that's the part of it that made sense to me, because I'm like, yeah, there are different ways of worshiping. So you pick the way that is comfortable for you, not the way that was comfortable for your grandma, not the way that was comfortable for your mother, not the way that was comfortable for your father and your aunt Pookie. What is comfortable for you, and stop trying to recruit other people to your way of thinking about God and goddess and spirituality. Leave people alone. Let them figure out themselves what is appropriate. Let them figure out for themselves how they want to worship. If they ask you and they ask you for help, fine, help them. But don't impose your beliefs on other people and then get mad and get nasty. And oh, some people will come over for Christmas. Oh, I don't eat pork. Like, come on, dog. Like, we know you don't eat pork, but I do. Like, come on. Don't impose your beliefs on other people. And we all can be guilty of that. Different spiritual systems. All of us can be guilty of it. Some of the times I see New Age people treat other people like they're, idiotic for believing in dogma. But I think to a certain extent we all have some dogma. So it's like, come on, stop being like that. I see Christians criticize people about how they're not going to heaven because, Christianity is the only true spiritual. Like, come on, come off of that. Like, leave people be. Let people figure out what's true for them. And if that's true for them, then fine. If it's not true for them, then leave them alone. So contemplate your spirituality. Contemplate where you are with it. Contemplate if you're abusive with it. Some people, in the ways that I've mentioned, are abusive with it. And don't do that to people, and don't do that to yourself. Worship the way you want to worship. Don't focus on what other people do. Focus on what you do, because that's what the spirituality is for. It's for you to heal yourself. It's for you to present yourself to the world. It's for you to have a moral guideline if that's what you want. It's for you. Everything isn't for everybody. Okay? So that's the crown chakra, and that is this particular card. So clear up the darkness, my lovelies, by tapping into your creator. All right, well, that's this edition of Ask an Aquarius on November 10th. And 2017, and I'll be back. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing. Please continue to do so, and feel open to ask me questions, and if I can answer them, I got your back. Take care.